Hello, everyone. My name is Olaronke Ashorugbadebo. Welcome to this session on Your Rejection is Showing. Now, this is a 3 weeks program. Um, my role today is just to lay the foundation for what is ahead. Um, Next week, I'll be having a guest to talk about our experience when dealing with rejection. And also, the last Saturday, also having a special guest who will be speaking to us both from our personal experience and also our own talking about it also from the professional angle. It's a journey of self-discovery. It's a journey inviting everyone to, to engage with their inner man and to be able to find out why they do what they do. So you are welcome to this program. It's going to be a learning curve for everyone, just as it has been for me preparing for the program, because in the process of preparing for the program, it has opened me up to see other areas in my own personal life that I need to give attention to. So you're welcome to this program. The title says, "Hey, your rejection is showing." And I'd just like to start by first of all saying that um, the God that I know, and I believe there are people out there also that also believes in God, is concerned about our total well-being. It's not just about physical wellness, but also about our internal life, the state of our soul, the state of our thought. And you agree with me that a lot of problems that happens in life, they are not visible to the naked eye. Most of the time, they are things that happens within, and what we just see outside are things that just play out as a result of the things that goes on within. So, welcome to this program. 3rd John, I'll quickly like to read the verse. It says, 3rd John 2 says, "Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well." Another one says, "Dear friend, I am praying that all is well with you and that your body is as healthy as I know your soul is." So health is not just about physical health, but also about our soul. And that is what this program is all about. Now, why is it important for us to look after our soul? And as I said earlier, I said that the greatest struggle in life happens in the unseen realm, the ones that are not naked to the human eye. But that is actually what determines how we live our life. And if within there are issues that are not dealt with, you find that ability to connect with other people, ability to connect with yourself, and ability to connect with other people will be impaired. And that's why it's very, very important to deal with topics like this and take a closer look. I'll share a personal example. Several years ago, I think that was what actually started me on this journey of studying about rejection, what rejection is, and how it affects us. Over 20 years ago now, well, in the, I think, early stroke mid-90s, the church I was attending then, especially during the week or after Sunday service, we always do what we call fellowship after fellowship, where we hang around the Lord, we talk, we play with one another. And there's always a lot of arguing. Until one day, my pastor challenged me and said, "You come here." And I was not even aware until he challenged me. He said, "Why is it that anytime somebody wants to argue, you turn to the side? So somebody is coming towards you, their hands are open, they want to give you, a big hug, and unconsciously, I just turned to my side." And I wasn't even aware that I was doing it. Honest, I was not aware until he brought it to my attention. And he says, "You know what? you are going to start practicing with me what it means to give somebody a proper hug. And that was how my journey started. Wow, this one is like, well, it was news to me. And when you are coming towards someone with your hands open and you want to give them a big hug and they turn, it's a message. They are trying to protect themselves. It's like, ooh, I don't want to get hurt. I didn't know I was doing it, but that physical action was just an indication of, it's like I was trying to protect myself. I don't want anybody to get closer to me because I don't want to get hurt. And I didn't know I was doing it until he brought it to my attention. So in the process, I had to start investigating why that behavioral pattern. There were some other things that he pointed out, and that was what started me on this journey of learning about rejection. And I remember the first book I bought there, which actually is the one that brought about the title of this program, Excuse Me, Your Rejection is Showing. And by the time I finished reading that book, I saw that I have serious issue with roots of rejection, not just rejection, roots of rejection, meaning that there were some experiences that I'd gone through prior to that time that has planted that seed of rejection and colored so many things, in my life that I was not even aware of until it brought them to my attention. So there's so many things, sometimes we do, we're not even aware that we're doing it until somebody points it out. There was on another occasion, somebody close to me then just looked at me one day and said, you're a very timid person. And honestly, prior to that time, I'd never seen myself as a timid person. But when this person said it and the person was close to me, I thought, wow, this person must have seen something. So I started researching, looking for, when you say somebody is timid, what are the things that stands out? What informed those things? And that was when I came to the realization that I was dealing with serious low self-esteem issues. So sometimes we behave in some ways we are not even aware that those behaviors are bringing out some things that have not been dealt with within us. And until we become aware and face them and begin to look at them and say, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. What am I going to do about it? And that is what this program is all about, to bring out what I call emotional assessment. In physical world, in fitness world, if you want to start a fitness program newly, you will be asked to do fitness assessment. And what's the purpose of fitness assessment? Is to be able to know where you are, to know your baseline, to know your state, to know your fitness level, to be able to know whether you have health issues, and all this information about your height, about your weight, about your cardiovascular fitness, muscular strength, your flexibility, will give the instructor information about you to guide him to know the kind of exercise program to recommend. The same thing when it comes to emotional assessment. There's a need to look back, to assess yourself. And how do you know? How do you come about, being aware of the need to do, emotional assessment is when you see repeated patterns of behavior. Repeated patterns of behavior that does not produce, good fruit, or when you have feedbacks from other people, like I just shared with you now, my own experience, the first one with my pastor, another one with a close friend of mine. I was not aware, but those things were signs that I had internal problems that I needed to face. And the another one, apart from, repeated behavioral pattern, feedback from people, and the third one that I would like to mention is how you respond. How you respond to life challenges. Now, one experience I went through recently, and I had to go back. I had to go back and revisit something that happened to me several years ago and deal with the pain. I didn't even know I was still having that pain. Something happened and I just realized I crashed. I crashed emotionally and I started struggling with something I felt I had already dealt with. And what happened? I realized that there was an experience I had years ago, something that happened to me publicly, and I felt so humiliated and shamed. And anything that happens that brings me to the open, where I am the focus of attention and everybody's talking, you did this, you did this, you did this. I just freak out. And something happened to me recently and that pain just came up again. And I now I remembered what happened several years ago. And I remembered then I didn't know one of the reasons my coping mechanism then was to hide. Once I see that it's coming to the open, everybody's going to start talking, I will just shut down and hide. Now, you can't be in a relationship with people and do that. You're going to have difficulty in relationships. So I've just given you my own personal example to see that this thing that we're talking about, rejection, is real and is everywhere. And as I'm going to explain later, there's so many things that are happening to us in our life that is like a warning sign telling us, you know what, a deeper issue that you need to deal with. So the program is create awareness. Be aware, become aware with why you do what you do and why you react the way you react. Why you react to situation in a particular way. It could be that there are deeper wounds that you need to deal with. So that's the purpose, of this program. Now, the reality of life is that we are all going to go through rejection. Sometimes maybe you have an idea and other people have ideas and other people are taking and you feel rejected. You go for a job interview, somebody else is taking and they tell you, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. There's no space for you at this time. Or you have a friend and you're expecting your friend to invite you for an outing. Everybody else except you. So we're going to face life situation that is going to make us feel rejected. However, some rejection are easy to just overlook them and you move on with your life. However, there are some other kinds of rejection that eats deep into the human soul, especially rejection that threatens our security, rejection that tells us you are not worthy, rejections that attaches your sense of person, rejection that attacks your worth, rejection that demeans your value. So maybe you are from a family where you don't feel accepted. Maybe you are born into a family where maybe you are the last born and the parent, maybe they already have 3 kids and they felt, oh, we are done with childbearing. And all of a sudden, you have now become the accident child. And they did not hide their feeling about you becoming an accident child. Additional responsibility to the family. At that early stage, a seed of rejection can become planted. Or maybe you are the child that was born out of wedlock. Or maybe your mom tried to abort and the abortion was not successful. I remember when I was growing up, I grew up with my grandmother. And I remember then some mothers, when they are angry with their children, they call them some horrific names that now that I'm a mother, when I replay those names and I'm thinking, my goodness, saying that to somebody's heart is like cruelty. It's like in a way you are killing them inside without taking a knife, without taking a gun or anything. You are killing their sense of worth. When you call somebody useless, somebody that cannot amount to anything, it's like you are taking a knife and piercing their soul. And that is what rejection does. So sometimes rejection comes through family relationship. It can come through parents. It can come through siblings. You can come through, extended family members. Maybe, and sometimes for children that, have challenges, they have deformities, and they don't feel accepted. Rejection can, in a very subtle way, creep in and settle there and just begin to color their perception about life. I'll share with you another personal example. Because I grew up with my grandmother, my first language was not English. My first language was our local dialect. Now, for people that are in Nigeria, you know that there is the Yoruba tribe. But it was not even Yoruba. It was Ijebu, another dialect, under Yoruba. And of course, when I started going to school, I couldn't communicate well in English. And you can imagine, children, they can be so cruel with jokes. So because I couldn't communicate in English, I was always avoiding talking in public. And sometimes when I now sum up courage to talk in public, they make fun of me. And I carried that rejection deep in my soul. So for years, I had this fear that I don't speak English. I cannot speak English well. Of course, it went right through like that through my primary school until I got to secondary school and I started learning how to speak English. And you can imagine, your other student, they will not spare you when you make grammatical error. And of course, that seed of rejection was also reinforced until I met my pastor, who happens to be my mentor, and he's a reader. And you know what? He gave me a lot of drill. He would just give me a topic, and he would tell me, I want you to go and do a research on this one, and you're going to give it to me by tomorrow. And I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? So it forced me to start reading. And sometimes he will give you a topic and he will ask you, oh yeah, come and teach. Come and teach what you have just prepared in front of other people. And if you are making grammatical errors, he will correct you. And you dare not frown. You dare not, show any attitude that you don't want to take correction. And with his involvement, I started gaining my confidence. But that seed was still there until I made up my mind, enough is enough, I'm going to confront you. So I've just shared with you various practical examples for us to see how rejection can enter somebody's heart and settle there and make it a home and begin to alter their definition of life. Because rejection comes with a message. Rejection tells you you are not enough. Rejection tells you you are not okay. Rejection tells you you are not beautiful. Rejection tells you you don't have what I'm looking for. Rejection tells you you are not my type. You are not qualified. So it eats into your sense of worth. And those were the things that, led to my struggle with low self-esteem. And, having seen all that, and knowing, there's a way to walk through it, I realized that there's a need to bring this kind of awareness, because there are so many people there that are just like me, suffering from that grip of rejection, and is affecting the quality of life that they are living in. So rejection is real. Rejection can happen, and sometimes when relationship fails, it brings another dimension of rejection that is like killing. It's like taking the life out of you and squeezing it. It's not only affect the people, it also affects other people that are around them. So it's something, and most of the time, that's why that story, the fiction story that I did on my page, if you have not read it, I will encourage you go back and read it, about a girl called Silifa Eleko. Most of the time, during the time, people were focused on her behavior, on her aggression. However, fortunately for her, she had a friend who saw through that aggression and said, no. It's not the aggression that is the problem. It's what is feeding the aggression that is the problem. What happened? Silifa had an issue, rejected by mom at birth because the mother died at birth. That's one form of rejection. The father was not there, being called names. So she was already struggling with rejection. Now that is the situation. From that rejection, already taking the pain, thought pattern begins to form within her. They are telling me I don't matter. She took the message in and decided to protect herself. Nobody is going to get through to me, and I'm going to show them that I matter. So her aggression was a way of protecting herself from getting wounded. Is a way of, not allowing anybody to enter into her heart, because she does not want to be wounded any further. It's the same thing that happens when life situation, traumatic situations happen, and we cover the wound. The wound always comes with a message. Any wound, emotional wound, why do we cover it? Because it comes with a message. And we're struggling with that message, and sometimes we internalize the message, and we now make up our mind, I am never going to allow anybody to do this to me. So what happens? We pile on layers after layers to protect ourselves. Not because we don't want to be close to people, because we are afraid of getting hurt. And that is why it is very important to visit this topic. And I'm going to read out some signs. As I said earlier, mine is just to lay the foundation today. The professional is going to come. I've been I've attended this woman's workshop about 3 times now, and I'm telling you, her teaching changed my life about learning to face your wound, learning to confront it and rewrite the message. Rewrite the message. The wound, in your heart has come with a message. Now look at that wound, face it, and rewrite the message that came with the wound. The same thing with rejection. So I've mentioned, how does rejection happen? Through family. It could be through abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse. It could be through your peers, They call you, some people struggle with weight. You have some children right from young age, you can just see that this one will not be a slim person. And you can imagine people can be very caustic with their tongue. They call them all sorts of names and they just internalize it. I'm not okay because of my size. I remember, I'll give a very good example. I have big eyeballs. And when I was younger, oh, children, they used to call me Globe, eyes, Globe, different kind of names. And I remember then from school, I used to cry all the way home, because people were making jest of me because of my big eyeballs. And some children, sometimes they go through things like that. People making mockery of their weight, people making mockery of their height. You have some people, they are very slim, no matter what they eat, and people begin to make jest. Issues like this can plant seed of rejection in a child, that if parents are not aware of the signs, that child might carry that seed for life and when situation begins to happen that touches that wound, they react in a way that you'll be wondering, excuse me, what is it that I just said that is bringing that kind of reaction? So there are people out there that we look at their life outwardly, we judge them by what we see, not knowing that they have untreated wound under that is feeding the behavior that we are seeing. For example, let's take the case of Silifa. Telling Silifa to be patient will not solve our problem unless the root of rejection was dealt with. Telling Silifa, be nice to people, learn to be tolerant, exercise caution in responding. That was not what she needed. What she needed was somebody to bring her to that point where she would see that what was feeding her behavior was that rejection. And once that wound of rejection is dealt with, I can guarantee you, our behavior, the ones that people can see, will eventually fall in place. So sometimes there are people that we see, we label them because of external, attitude that they display, not knowing that those attitudes are a way of crying out, I need help. I need help. I need help. And what do we do most of the time? We label them and throw them away. But those behavior are just a way of crying out. Like for my case, I was fortunate that my leader then saw through my physical sign. Doing this was a way of protecting myself. The timidity, the low self-esteem, and he spotted it. And he challenged me. And over the year, he's still involved with my life today. And I'm very sure he's online, he's watching as well. He's still involved with my life today. I'm grateful that I have people around me who understands my journey and they have decided to stay. So they see when I'm beginning to behave out of insecurity. They can see when I'm beginning to behave out of fear. They can see when I'm beginning to hide. And they'll say, ooh, we can see, don't go there. Don't go there again. You need to snap out of that. So sometimes we throw people away, forgetting that what we are seeing physically with the eyes is an invitation, is a call. Somebody is calling and he's saying, I need help here, please. I need help. Something is happening within me inside. Okay, in rounding up, I'm just going to say, how do you know? What are the things you will see to say somebody has wound of rejection? What are the things that you can see? The first one is aggressive reaction. There are some people, they are very aggressive. They do not tolerate nonsense. If anything's happened, they will stand their ground. If you say 8, they will give you 10. It is not in all cases, but check it most of the time. The aggression is being used to chase people away so that they don't get hurt any further. The aggression, especially, check, issues that pertains on self-identity, issues that pertains on who you are, your worth, your value, your beauty, how significant, are you a worthwhile person, are you somebody that is reliable, somebody that is trustworthy, Anytime issues happen that touches those areas of their life, they react in an aggressive way. And no matter what they say, they refuse to listen. Why? That situation triggered something within them. Something was touched. There was a wound there that has not been healed. So maybe begin to play out. What about children? Sometimes some children, they fight. Like in the case of Silifa, will fight anybody. Will fight anybody because they are protecting themselves. They've been hurt and they don't want anybody to come closer to them and hurt them any further. So aggression. So when you see somebody that is very aggressive, just slow down and take a second look. What is feeding the aggression? Instead of attacking the person on being aggressive, why don't you get closer? Why don't you show them love and try and converse with them to find out what is feeding that aggression? Possibly along the line, they might be able to open up and you'll be able to help them. Another symptoms that you will see is self-rejection symptoms, which manifest in low self-esteem, inferiority complex. You feel unworthy. You feel you don't have it. You feel you don't matter. They are symptoms. They are symptoms. You see, when you see somebody that is struggling with low self-esteem, forget the external things you can see. Ask them questions. Why do you feel like this? What are the things that has happened to you in time past that made you to feel like this? And as you journey with them, you might find out that there are issues that has happened to them, sometimes as young as 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and that pain, that seed of rejection has been planted that makes them to feel I'm not worthwhile. So before you have low self-esteem, go and deal with yourself. Why don't you journey alongside with that person and find out what is feeding this low self-esteem? The last one I would like to mention is what I call achievement. People that are purpose driven. Mind me, there is nothing wrong in having drive. There's nothing wrong in being goal oriented. There's nothing wrong in wanting to become more. For those that knows me very well, I'm passionate about self-development. But sometimes you need to sit down and find out what is motivating your drive to develop yourself. Is it to use it to make a statement? Maybe when you were younger, somebody has told you not amount to anything, or you are useless, you are not our type, you are a disgrace to our family, and you now made a personal decision. I will show you that I matter. So you go all out of your way, you do things so that people can see that you are doing something. So striving, achievement, performance, having a competitive spirit, always want to be number one, always want to be the one that wins the medal, always want to be the one that has best result. Could it be is a way of protecting yourself from further hurt? It could be you're afraid. The fear of rejection is the one that is driving you. The fear that if people really see me for who I am, they might not like me. They might not like what they see. So what do I need to do? Let me just hide myself. So let me do something that will draw people to me and they will like me. So you use your performance to buy love. Some people, they use their niceness. They are very nice. They are very nice to a fault. And why? Because once they are nice, they receive positive compliment, and nobody can be able to go beyond that and see that they are using that niceness as a protection to cover themselves from the hurt that they are carrying. And 3 things that the rejection does, if it is not dealt with: it affects your relationship with your maker, it affects your relationship with yourself, it affects your relationship with other people. And these are the 3 dimensions of relationship that we need. You need to have a healthy relationship with God as your maker. You need to have healthy relationship with yourself as a worthwhile person. You also need to have relationship with other people. And if the root of rejection is what is driving you, I guarantee you these 3 dimensions I've mentioned will suffer. And that is why this program has come about, to create opportunity for people to assess their emotional wellness. What is driving you? Why do you react the way you react to situation? Do you have hidden wounds that you have not dealt with? I gave myself as an example that something happened to me recently. It just opened up an old one and I had to face it. And before I came on air today, I know people that have spoken to my heart because I was struggling and I had to print out, honesty, print out how does God see me, my identity in Christ. And I was reading it to myself that, what, when God looks at me, when I look at myself, this is my definition. And so what am I trying to say? You cannot treat a wound that is covered. It might be painful, but you need to revisit it. If yours came about because of abuse, you need to revisit it. If yours came about because somebody laughed at you, you need to revisit it. Revisit that pain. And that is how healing can come. I hope I've been able to give us a bit of introduction on what the next 2 weeks is going to be about. In preparing for this, I did a write-up that I would like to close with on rejection. And just permit me, I would like to read through. The sting of the soul that has no hands, yet beats drums so loud, all earth turn in its direction. It causes movement, it shouts, it speaks, its smile is so colorful, you cannot help taking a second look as you pass by. The seemingly beauty it radiates is so compelling as to be irresistible. It's as comfortable as the rainbow, reminding you of a promised commitment not to destroy. The rainbow speaks of hope, belief, and reassurance. This rainbow speaks of love, life, and redemption. This colored rainbow is tainted, the one we are talking about. The rainbow is tainted. It's tainting the true definition of life. The deceptive appearance of rejection colors its destructive power. It subtly takes the soul away from its true essence, clapping, jumping, singing, drowning the whisper of love. But this gentle whisper of love cannot be silenced. It penetrates the hardest rock, unmoved, unshakable, undisturbed. The gentle whisper of love keeps coming back, reminding us of the truest love our heart has always yearned for. The love of our Heavenly Father is unconditional love, is unfailing love, His kindness is mercy, His understanding and accepting heart. The cure for the sting of rejection is openness to receive the Father's love as manifested through His Son Jesus. We preach Christ not as a religion, but as a declaration of true love from the heart of a Father that wants the best for us. Love, unconditional love, and acceptance found in God that cannot lie, fail, disappoint is the greatest cure for a heart suffering from the sting of rejection. So if you are there, you have issues with rejection, open your heart to that whisper of love and is more than willing to help you as it has helped me over the years. I've been going through this path now. I've been on this path of recovery from roots of rejection for over 20 years. And I'm still struggling. But you know what? I am more than determined to enjoy life to the full because I know victory is assured. So if you're like me, let's journey together. It is a mountain that can be overcome. It is a struggle that will become a stepping stone for you to evolve and declare who you really are and bring about the beauty. I used to have problem with being able to speak in public. People will laugh at me. I will make mistake. Now I don't bother. If I make mistake, I'll correct myself. And thank God for Mr. Google. You can learn whatever you learn. And sometimes, before I come on here, if I see any word I'm not sure of, or if the grammar is too much for me, I go online, I check for the synonyms, I take the simple one. I listen on how to pronounce words. So it is a path that is, you have a lot of intrigues, things you will learn along the way. And it will bring about the beauty in you. So this thing, the root of rejection, it can be overcome. Stop burying your pain and open your heart to a God that loves you. And I can guarantee you, victory is assured. So I'm going to stop today. and I'll be back next week. And share it with other people. Invite other people, people that you know have struggle in this area. Invite them and encourage their heart. And you know what? Let the things that you have picked from this short presentation, let it give you empathy. Let it affect the way you relate with other people. Avoid just pushing people aside. It might be their own way of calling out for help. So thank you so much for joining me. I will be back again next week. Bye for now.